If this video appeared to you right now at this very second, it was not a coincidence. You need to stop everything. Drop what you are doing and listen carefully. God is speaking to you today, and the message is urgent. You have been feeling a tightness in your chest for no apparent reason. You wake up tired, even after sleeping through the night. You feel like something is about to change, but you don't know what it is. You have been crying in secret, in the bathroom, in the car, in the grocery store line. You have been praying and it feels like no one is listening. And just when you thought about giving up on everything, this video crossed your path. I am going to tell you now, straight to the point, what message the Father is sending to you. I will show you the 3 signs that prove God is about to turn your life upside down, what the true spiritual cause of what you are experiencing is, and what you need to do today before this divine window closes. Stay until the end, because the last revelation is the most important, and most people miss the blessing exactly because they turn off the video too early. You are in a strange phase of life. Something in the air has changed. It might seem like paranoia, but it isn't. There are 3 clear signs that God is calling you now, and I bet you have experienced at least 2 of them this week. The first sign is the uncomfortable silence. Suddenly, the people who always spoke to you have vanished. The phone has stopped ringing. Friends have grown cold. Family members who used to check in on you for no reason are now silent. You feel isolated inside your own home. But here is the truth that few pastors have the courage to tell you. This silence is not a punishment. This silence is God's way of removing the voices around you that were confusing you. God is clearing the channel before delivering the message to you. When the Father is going to speak to a child, He first clears the intruders out of the room. The second sign is nighttime restlessness. You wake up at 3 in the morning for no reason and find yourself staring at the ceiling feeling like someone wants to tell you something. Some days you dream of people who have already passed away. Other days you dream of places you have never stepped foot in. This is not ordinary insomnia. This isn't just work stress. This is God knocking on the door of your spirit exactly when your mind finally becomes quiet. During the day you are too busy to hear Him, caught between bills, traffic, children, grandchildren, evening soaps, and family group chats. So He wakes you up. And if you ignore Him, He persists. The third sign is a sudden urge to change everything. You are looking at your job, your marriage, your city, and something inside you screams that this is no longer for you. This isn't a midlife crisis at 40, 50, or 60. This is a summons. There is a divine calling trying to break through the thick shell of the routine you have built over the last few decades. And the more you ignore it, the tighter the restlessness becomes. But my brother, my sister, I need to warn you about something very important before I continue. These signs you are feeling are not accidents of fate. They are the bridge between your current life and the life God has already prepared for you. The pain tightening your chest right now is the living proof that you were called by the Father for a mission much greater than you imagine. Pay attention. God does not send restlessness to those who have no purpose. God does not take away the sleep of those who don't matter. If you are feeling all of this at the same time, it is because you are a chosen one. And being chosen comes with a high price. You become a target. There is a spiritual chessboard being played at this very moment over your head, and the problem you see on the surface, the lack of money, the fighting at home, the illness that won't go away, the rebellious child, is just the most visible piece of a much larger game happening behind the invisible scenes of your story. That is why the Father prepared the sacred book for you, the 21 days of prosperity and alignment with God. This sacred book is not just a reading. It is the exact map that teaches you day after day how to decipher the urgent message God is sending you right now, how to shield your body against the forces trying to stifle this divine calling, and how to finally enter the frequency of prosperity that the Father has already set aside with your name on it. It reveals the right prayers for every night, the secret fasts to clear your spiritual channel, and the movements of faith that unlock your entire life in just 21 days. The link is pinned in the first comment of the channel. And I must warn you with all sincerity, this content has already been targeted for removal more than once, because it challenges the system that keeps the chosen ones sleeping in scarcity. Therefore, download it now before they take it down again. And to seal this moment as a true act of faith, comment below with conviction. I am chosen, and I will download the digital book. Now that you have decided to act, the next truth I tell you will be the final blow against the invisible enemy that has been trying to block your life for years. I am going to reveal to you now the true cause behind everything you are experiencing. You are not tired because of overwork. You are not sad because of the weather. You are not out of money because of an economic crisis. There is a deeper spiritual cause that few have the courage to tell you. When a person passes the 35, 40, or 50-year mark, something invisible happens. You have accumulated stories, wrong decisions, words spoken in moments of anger, broken promises and forgiveness that was never asked for. Each of these moments left a mark on your spiritual field. It is as if your aura has, over the years, accumulated a layer of spiritual dust. This dust doesn't kill you immediately, but it blocks your blessing. It takes away the shine. It makes it so that prayer doesn't rise as it should. And this is where science comes in too, because the Bible and science walk together for those who know how to see. Neuroscience studies show that repetitive thoughts of defeat physically change the brain. The prefrontal cortex, which is the part responsible for the important decisions in life, loses strength when we live in chronic stress. In other words, the more you tell yourself it won't work out, the more your own brain sabotages the opportunities God places in your path. But there is an even deeper layer. There is what the ancients called a covenant blockage. Perhaps someone in your family in a past generation made alliances with things that did not come from God. Perhaps a great-grandfather who messed with something he shouldn't have on a rural farm in the deep south. Perhaps an unpaid promise after a healing. Perhaps a word spoken in anger over an entire lineage in a moment of revolt. And you, without knowing it, are carrying that weight to this day. This explains why everything you try seems to stall at the last minute. Why the job vanishes exactly when you need it most. Why the relationship collapses just as it was about to get serious. Why the money comes in one side and disappears out the other, like water through a sieve. Have you felt this? Have you had that clear sensation that there is an invisible hand blocking your life? Comment below, "I have felt this," so I know you are following along, because the next part will explain exactly how this block is broken. And it doesn't stop there. There are three main types of spiritual blocks that affect people over 35 in America. The first is the financial block, which makes money literally slip through your hands. The second is the emotional block, which creates an invisible wall between you and the people who love you. The third, and perhaps the most dangerous, is the purpose block, which makes you forget who you were meant to be on this earth. All three have the same root, but most people try to solve them with medication, therapy, travel, a new partner, or a new car, without understanding that the problem is not in the material world. The problem is in a dimension the eye cannot see, but that God can break with a single command. And here is the most important point of everything you are hearing. These blocks were not placed in your life by accident. They were placed there precisely because the enemy knows who you are. Think about it. There are millions of people in the United States, so why are you specifically being tested at such a heavy level? Why are you specifically waking up in the middle of the night? Why do you specifically feel that something big is about to happen? The answer is simple and painful at the same time. You are one of the voices the Father chose for this generation. You are not just another person passing through the years without purpose. You were marked from your mother's womb. And when heaven marks someone, hell tries to mark them first. That is why your life has always been different, harder, more turbulent, and fuller of obstacles that others don't face. It isn't bad luck. It is an excess of purpose. And now I need you to understand something that will change your perspective forever. The problem you are living through now, whatever it may be, is just the most visible layer of a gigantic spiritual chessboard where you are the main piece. The enemy doesn't waste time on those who won't change anything. He only attacks those he knows have the power to tear down entire strongholds once they awaken. And you are awakening now, at this very moment, by hearing these words. That is why your heart is racing. That is why you are feeling a chill right now. It is the confirmation of the Spirit moving through your body. That is why the Father prepared the sacred book for you, the 21 days of prosperity and alignment with God. This sacred book is not just a reading. It is a tool of spiritual warfare delivered directly to the chosen ones of this generation. Each of the 21 days was designed to break a specific layer of the block that is over your life. On the first day, you learn the prayer for opening channels, the one that finally makes your voice break through the bronze ceiling that many feel is above their heads when they pray. On the third day, you enter the generational cleansing protocol, which breaks negative inheritances that came from past generations through no fault of your own. On the seventh day, you access the secret of the invisible tithe, which is different from the financial tithe and releases flows of provision that most Christians have never heard of. On the 14th day, you are taken to a position of spiritual authority where you begin to command rather than ask. And on the 21st day, the sealing happens, the moment when everything that was broken in the previous weeks is finally locked so that nothing that was cast out can return. The sacred book teaches in simple everyday English the exact spiritual rules to unlock your message from God. Clearly identify what your calling is on this earth and activate the prosperity the Father promised to his faithful children. It isn't loose theory. It isn't just motivational words. It is a practical path day by day, with specific prayers, light fasts adapted for those who work all day, declarations of faith that need to be made at specific times, and even spiritual gestures that seal each victory. The link is pinned in the first comment of the channel. And I need to be very honest with you. This content has already been flagged more than once by platforms that do not want this truth to reach the chosen ones. They have tried to silence this message because it goes head-to-head against the system that prefers to see you medicated, distracted, and in debt forever. Therefore, download it now while it is still up. Do not wait for the end of the video. Do not say you will download it later. Later is the enemy's favorite weapon. Those who leave it for later, most of the time, never come back. And so that heaven may witness your decision, comment right now with faith, writing exactly like this: I am chosen, and I will download the digital book. This comment is not just any phrase. It is a public declaration before the spiritual world that you have accepted the call and are ready to receive. Now that you have decided to act, the next truth I tell you will be the final blow against the silent enemy that has been stealing your peace, your sleep, and your joy for far too long. Pay close attention to what comes next, because this is where the turnaround begins. There is one thing that few preachers have the courage to reveal publicly, and I am going to put it in front of you now. When God prepares a turnaround in the life of a child, he doesn't announce it with a neon sign in the sky. He announces it from within, and the signs he uses are almost always the same. The first internal sign is a strange longing for something you have never lived. You look at your daily routine, your house, your family, and you feel homesick for a life that hasn't happened yet. It is as if your soul has already visited the future God prepared for you and is longing to go back there. This feeling is one of the clearest marks that something big is about to manifest. The second internal sign is the sudden loss of pleasure in things that always brought you joy. The evening shows no longer hold your attention. The family party no longer excites you. Sports talk no longer interests you. It isn't depression. Don't run for medication before you pray. This is your spirit closing the door on small things because something greater is coming. God is reserving your time, your mind, and your heart for what is yet to enter. The third internal sign is increased sensitivity. You cry watching a silly scene on television. You feel an urge to hug strangers. You get emotional listening to an old song playing on the car radio. This is your heart being softened by the Father to receive a revelation that needs to enter in high definition. A hard heart does not hear God. That is why the Father softens it first. Now let me ask you a direct question. Do you identify with at least one of these signs? If so, write an Amen down below and take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell, because the next videos will be even stronger, and I don't want you to miss any of the upcoming revelations. But there is more. There is a pattern that repeats in the life of every chosen one who is about to enter a new phase. This pattern has 3 seasons. The first season is the desert. This is when everything seems to dry up at once. Money, friends, opportunities, excitement, everything dries up. And it is exactly here that many people falter in their faith because they interpret the desert as abandonment. But the desert is the waiting room for the miracle. It was in the desert that Moses saw the burning bush. It was in the desert that David became king inside his heart. It was in the desert that Jesus prepared for his ministry. If you are in the desert now, lift your head, because you are in the nursery of glory. The second season is the storm. After you get used to the desert, the wind comes, attacks appear that you didn't expect. People close to you betray you. Documents go missing. Bad news arrives in sequence. It seems like everything is conspiring to bring you down. But the storm didn't come to sink you. It came to reveal who you became in the desert. It was Peter who walked on water, and it was during the storm that he learned what real faith was. The third season is the manifestation, and here is the part that few reach because most give up in the middle of the second. But if you pass through the storm holding on to your faith, you enter the manifestation. And when the manifestation comes, it comes with the force of a bursting dam. Everything that was stuck comes back at once. Doors open. The right people appear. Money flows. The respect you lost returns doubled. The life you imagined having materializes before your eyes. And it is exactly at this point that I need to alert you about something crucial that, if you don't know now, could make you lose the manifestation the minute it is arriving. Many chosen ones cross the entire desert, survive the storm, but lose the blessing at the final hour because they were not spiritually aligned. It isn't enough to have faith. You must be tuned into the frequency of heaven. It's like an old radio. If you don't turn the knob until you catch the right station, you only hear static. Unaligned prayer becomes static. Unaligned good intention becomes static. An entire life can become a hiss if you don't know the invisible rules of the kingdom. And it is exactly here that the most delicate and urgent point of this message comes in. You were chosen, yes. You are being awakened, yes. But you are naked for the battle that lies ahead. Chosen ones without preparation are struck down before the glory manifests. And the enemy knows this. He knows that just a small crack, a poorly spoken word, a spiritual door left open without you noticing, is enough to block everything at the last second. That is why so many people live through the desert, survive the storm, feel the miracle coming, and suddenly everything collapses again. It isn't a curse. It is a lack of alignment. That is why the Father prepared the sacred book for you, the 21 days of prosperity and alignment with God. This sacred book is not just a reading. It is the complete spiritual alignment protocol that the Father delivered to this generation of chosen ones, being awakened now, across the whole country, from the mountains of Appalachia to the cities of the Deep South, from the small towns of the Midwest to the great hubs of the East Coast, from the remote corners of the Pacific Northwest to the heart of the Great Plains. This sacred book has already touched the lives of thousands of people who were exactly where you are now. Tired, confused, feeling that something big was about to happen, but not knowing how to unlock the final gate. The sacred book teaches, in simple and direct language, all the specific spiritual rules for you to overcome the exact phase you are living. If you are feeling that God is speaking to you, but you cannot understand the message, the sacred book teaches you the prayer of clarity, which clears the channels and makes the Father's voice reach your heart with sharpness. If you are experiencing financial blocks that feel like persecution, the sacred book teaches you the protocol of the 7 envelopes, which breaks generational chains of scarcity and opens the floodgates of prosperity that were closed for generations. If you are feeling a tight chest from betrayals, disappointments, and abandonments, the sacred book teaches you the ceremony of sacred forgiveness, which returns internal peace without you needing to go back near those who hurt you. If you feel you are about to enter a new phase but fear you aren't prepared, the sacred book leads you day after day through the construction of the spiritual warrior you were called to be, and more. The sacred book brings the 3 secret prayers that practically no one teaches in modern churches anymore. The first is the dawn prayer, which must be done before the sun rises, and which seals your day against any attack coming from the invisible world. The second is the mirror prayer, which seems simple but has a profound power to return your spiritual identity when you are feeling lost. The third is the prayer of salt and running water, an ancient practice that many American families have forgotten, but which was the way our grandmothers used to keep the house spiritually closed. Everything is inside the sacred book, organized day by day, without complication, without difficult terms, in an American way of speaking about God. The link is pinned in the first comment of the channel, And I need to tell you the truth without softening anything. This content has already been flagged, taken down, and put back up more times than I can count. They have already tried to silence this message because it is not aligned with what the big platforms and big interests want most people to hear. The system prefers you tired, dependent on medication, in debt, distracted by TV shows, anesthetized by sports, and spiritually powerless. The system does not want you to discover that you have within you an authority that can change everything. That is why this type of content is so heavily attacked. That is why many channels that speak these truths disappear out of nowhere. And that is why I ask you with all sincerity, download it now. Don't leave it for tomorrow, don't leave it for after dinner, don't leave it for the weekend. Take your phone, open the first pinned comment, click the link, and download it. In less than a minute, you will have the sacred book in the palm of your hand, and from that moment on, your next night of restlessness will already have a practical path to transform into revelation. And so that this decision is recorded as a milestone in your testimony of faith, I want you to comment right now, with an open heart, the following phrase: I am chosen, and I will download the digital book. This comment is not just a phrase for the video. It is a public declaration before heaven that you have accepted the call, that you are no longer the one who doubts, that you are the son or daughter who will enter into the full manifestation of what the Father promised. The angels record this type of declaration. Most people who comment this phrase come back here weeks later, telling impressive testimonies. There is the mother who found her missing son. There is the man who received a job offer out of the blue. There is the woman who saw her marriage reborn after years of coldness. There are seniors who got rid of pains that doctors couldn't explain. There is the retiree who discovered a new source of income when he thought life had been reduced to his social security balance. There is the grandmother who finally felt a light heart after years of carrying old guilt. It isn't magic. It is alignment. And alignment begins the moment you take the first step of faith, and that step is precisely opening the sacred book and starting the first of the 21 days. Now that you have decided to act, the next truth I tell you will be the final blow against the invisible enemy that has been blocking chosen Americans generation after generation. What comes now might be the missing piece of the puzzle of your life. Stay until the end. Do not leave this screen. What comes now is the definitive turning point. I'm going to tell you now, without beating around the bush, what path unlocks the life of a chosen American in today's world. And you will realize it is simpler than it seems, but it requires one thing few have: the courage to start. The first step is sacred silence. You need every day to set aside 15 minutes for total silence. No phone, no television, no music, no radio, no one nearby. It can be in the morning before everyone wakes up. It can be after lunch. It can be at night before bed. But it must be sacred. These 15 minutes are not for you to speak to God. They are for God to speak to you. We live in a country that cannot stay quiet. There's a TV on in the kitchen, a radio in the car, headphones at work, neighbors shouting in the yard, and work groups pinging all the time. In all this noise, the Father's voice becomes a lost whisper. Sacred silence is the first brick in the reconstruction of your spiritual life. The second step is the cleansing of the lips. You need to stop speaking poorly of your own life. How many times do you catch yourself saying, "I can't. This isn't for me. My family is cursed. It never works out for me. I'm past the age. Time doesn't come back." Each of these phrases is a prophecy you decree over yourself. The mouth of the chosen one is a tool of creation. When God created the world, He spoke. When you speak, you also create. So from today on, every time a negative phrase wants to come out of your mouth, hold it, breathe, and replace it with a phrase of faith. This isn't foolish positivity. It is spiritual authority. The third step is the cleansing of the environment. Look at your house. There are things there that entered your life at the wrong moments. Gifts from people who wished you ill, stored objects that carry heavy memories, clothes you bought during a phase of depression and never had the courage to take out of the closet, old photographs that disturb you every time they appear in front of you. This accumulation creates spiritual weight. The house needs to breathe. The house needs to be light. This isn't just a trend or home organization. It is a spiritual house cleaning. The fourth step is the right fast, and here many people fail. Some think fasting is just not eating. It isn't. Fasting is giving up something you love to make room for something greater. It can be food, yes, but it can also be your favorite evening show. It can be social media. It can be neighborhood gossip. It can be the weekend drink. It can be the political argument that takes away your peace. The important thing is that it is something that hurts a little, because fasting without sacrifice is just a diet with a fancy name. The fifth step is active faith. It isn't enough to pray. You need to act like someone who has already received. If you are asking for a job, prepare your resume. If you are asking for healing, start taking care of yourself as a healthy person does. If you are asking for love, open your heart to receive. Faith without action is just stagnant hope. Faith with action is the force that moves mountains, and it is exactly about this process that I'm going to talk to you now, in the most important moment of this video. Because what I am about to share now could be the exact point where your life changes direction forever. I need you to stop everything you are doing now and listen with total attention, because what I'm going to say in the next few minutes could be the exact turning point of your story. Everything you have been through up to this point, all the sleepless nights, all the prayers without an apparent answer, all the doors that closed in your face, all the people who vanished, all the opportunities that seemed to slip away, all of it had a specific purpose. You didn't go through any of that by bad luck. You went through it because the Father was refining you. He was cutting away the edges. He was removing the stone and discovering the diamond you are inside. And now, after so much suffering, after so much waiting, the time has come for the definitive encounter between you and the life God prepared since before you were born. But here is the point no one explains to you. This encounter doesn't happen on its own. It depends on a decision of yours. God gives the opportunity, but He respects free will. He won't kick down your door. He knocks, and you are the one who opens it. And what I am going to offer you now is exactly the key to opening that door, with firmness, wisdom, method, protection, and authority. That is why the Father prepared the sacred book for you, the 21 days of prosperity and alignment with God. This sacred book is not just a reading. It is the divine instrument of transformation that many chosen ones have waited for their whole lives without knowing it existed. It was prepared with care, with prayer, with fasting, with revelation, so that every word written there enters your soul like a seed that germinates quickly. It isn't just any content. It isn't another one of those motivational texts you read and forget in 2 days. This sacred book was designed day by day, hour by hour, to rebuild you from the inside out. Let me explain calmly what is inside the sacred book so you understand why it is different from anything else you have ever seen. Right on the first day, you are led to an exercise called the Wheel of 7 Points. This exercise reveals in less than an hour which 7 areas of your life are draining your spiritual energy. Most people live their whole lives without knowing where their blessing is leaking out. The Wheel of 7 Points puts all of this in black and white for you to see. Then, on the second day, you enter the protocol of reconnection with your original purpose. Remember when you were a child and had a dream. That dream didn't die. It was just buried by years of bills, obligations, and disillusions. The sacred book teaches you to unearth that dream and to separate what was childhood fantasy from what was actually a whisper from heaven about your calling. On the third day, you learn the prayer of generational unlocking. This prayer was rescued from ancient traditions, and it has a specific power to cut chains that were tied in past generations and remain active without you knowing. Did you know that, in many cases, the reason an entire family goes through the same problems, generation after generation, is neither genetics nor coincidence? It is a spiritual covenant made poorly long ago. And the sacred book teaches you step by step how to break those covenants without needing intermediaries, using your own authority as a son or daughter of the Father. On the 5th day, you are introduced to the concept of the inner fortress. You understand that your body is not just a body. It is a temple, and every temple has doors, the doors of your senses, your emotions, your memories. And you learn, in a simple way, how to close those doors to what does not come from God, and open them to everything that comes from the Father. This chapter alone is worth the entire sacred book, because it gives you a protection that many people have never had in their entire lives. On the seventh day comes the day of provision. And here, pay attention, because it is one of the most discussed points by people who have gone through the book. On this day, you learn 3 practical principles about money that practically no church explains. The first is the rule of the first bread, which teaches what to do with the first dollar that enters your hand each day. The second is the secret of the 3 drawers, a way of organizing your income that opens the vault of heaven in a way that seems like a miracle. The third is the covenant of the silent seed, which is a way of planting prosperity without anyone knowing, creating an incredible spiritual force of return. On the 9th day, you cross the portal of memories. It is a deep exercise where you revisit old moments of your life, not to suffer again, but to extract from them the spiritual learning that was stored away. Every pain you experienced carried a lesson, and the sacred book teaches you to harvest that lesson without needing to relive the wound. It's like sweeping the yard of your history and gathering only the good seeds. On the 10th day, the most delicate and beautiful moment of the sacred book happens. It is the chapter of necessary forgiveness. In this chapter, you are guided through an internal journey to identify all the wounds that are still open inside you and to heal each one by one with the 4-step forgiveness method. It isn't forgiving just any way. It isn't pretending everything is fine. It is a deep process of healing that frees your soul from the weight of old grudges that were holding back your blessing. On the 12th day, you are introduced to the concept of the heavens schedule. Every person has an earthly schedule and a celestial schedule. When they become misaligned, life turns into chaos. The sacred book teaches you, with practical exercises, how to discover what your celestial schedule is for the next season, and how to reorganize your earthly schedule so the two are in conversation. On the 13th day comes the exercise of spirit-guided visualization. Here you learn how to create internal images that are aligned with what God has already prepared. Modern science calls this neuroplasticity. The Bible already called it faith. The sacred book unites both worlds and gives you a practical daily 15-minute exercise that will literally reprogram your brain to receive the manifestation. On the 15th day, you enter the protocol of creation speech. You learn to use your voice as a divine tool. You learn which words should never again leave your mouth. You learn which phrases you need to speak every day, out loud, in front of the mirror. You learn the correct intonation for declarations of faith. You even learn the time of day when each type of declaration has more power in the invisible world. On the 17th day comes the chapter on the right people. There is an ancient concept that every chosen one has around them a circle of 5 people who determine how far they will go. The sacred book helps you map out who the 5 people around you are today, which of them are pulling you down without you noticing, which are pushing you up, and how to redesign that circle without fighting with anyone. On the 18th day comes the chapter of the encounter with the future self. This is where many people cry because the sacred book guides you through an experience where you meet the version of yourself that has already won, already prospered, and is already living the dream. And this future self delivers specific instructions to you for the final days of the journey. On the 20th day comes the rehearsal of glory. You are led to write out a detailed account of the life you are about to live. It isn't a fantasy. It is a decree. It is the way to fix in the invisible world that which will manifest in the visible world. This chapter by itself has already transformed thousands of stories. And on the 21st day, the full sealing happens. It is the day when everything that was broken is locked, everything that was built is consecrated, everything that was received is protected, and you emerge from this 21-day journey being a different person than the one who entered. It isn't an exaggeration, it is a testimony. Ask anyone who has already done it. The sacred book teaches, within the exact context of what you are living now, what the specific rule is that unlocks your message from God, what the right fast is for your phase, what prayer fits your moment, what gesture of faith needs to be made today, and what practical step will open the next door. It isn't generic, it isn't loose theory. It is a surgical path, day after day, made for the American over 35 who feels that life is asking for change and didn't know where to start. The link is pinned in the first comment of the channel, and I need to be very clear with you. Without beating around the bush, without softening it, this content has already been flagged, removed, and put back up several times over the last few months. They have tried to silence this truth more than once because it cuts through the system. The system doesn't want you awake. The system wants you consuming, in debt, distracted, anesthetized, and dependent on external solutions that never truly solve anything. The system lives off the scarcity of the chosen one. And when a chosen one like you discovers they have the power to break chains within themselves, the system feels it. That is why this type of content is so attacked. That is why many channels that speak these truths disappear overnight. And that is why I implore you with all the truth in my heart, download it now. Not tomorrow, not after lunch, not on the weekend when you have time. Now. Take your phone, go to the first comment of this video, click the link, and download the sacred book. In less than 60 seconds, it will be on your device, ready to begin transforming your story starting tonight. And so that this decision is recorded in heaven as a milestone of your awakening, I need you to comment now, with faith and conviction, exactly the phrase, "I am chosen, and I will download the digital book." This isn't just a phrase for the algorithm. It isn't just an interaction to help the channel. It is a public declaration before the spiritual world that you have accepted the call, that you have recognized these signs are not accidents, and that you have decided to step out of the victim position and assume your place as a son or daughter of the Father with authority. Those who comment this phrase with an open heart in their vast majority come back days later to tell testimonies that seem impossible. There is the retiree who saw their income double out of nowhere, with an opportunity they weren't even looking for. There is the single mother who found hope again when she thought she had given up forever, and soon after received unexpected help that changed the whole month. There is the couple nearing 50 who reignited a flame that had been out for more than a decade without needing expensive therapy. There are people who freed themselves from addictions that seemed permanent, the kind that even doctors couldn't explain how to remove. There are people who found themselves free from physical pains that no exam could justify. There is the brother who reconnected with a son who had been distant for years. There is the grandmother who finally managed to sleep through the night after so much time. It isn't magic. It isn't coincidence. It is alignment. It is the Father responding with full force to those who had the courage to take the first step of faith. And your first step is exactly that. Download the sacred book in the first pinned comment, write the phrase of faith down below, and start the first page today. In 21 days, you will no longer be the same person watching this video now. In 21 days, you will be on the other side of the story. In 21 days, you will come back here to leave your testimony, and I will read it with tears in my eyes, because I know what the Father does with those who answer the call. Don't let this moment pass. Don't let the enemy convince you that you can do this later. Later is the oldest weapon of the darkness. Later kills more dreams than any direct attack. Now is the only real time. Now is the ground where faith is planted. Now that you have decided to act, now that you have positioned yourself before heaven and earth as a chosen one, the next truth I tell you will be the final blow against the invisible enemy that has been trying to delay your life since you were born. What comes now is the seal on everything we have discussed. Don't leave this screen. The best is about to happen. And here is the last truth, the one I left for the end precisely because it is the key that locks everything. Do you think you reached this point in the video by chance? Do you think you heard every word up to here by coincidence? No. You were moved by a force that held you until this exact moment. There are thousands of people who clicked on this video, but most left in the first few minutes. You stayed. And those who stay until the end are those who were marked to receive. The Father is telling you at this very instant that the desert phase is ending, that the storm is losing its strength, that the manifestation is on the horizon. But you must do your part. You must open the door when He knocks. And that door, today, has a name. It is called the Sacred Book, 21 Days of Prosperity and Alignment with God. It is in the first pinned comment of the channel. It is waiting for you. It was written with you in mind. It was prepared for the exact moment you are living. If you haven't downloaded it yet, download it now before closing the video. If you haven't commented yet, right now, I am chosen and I will download the digital book. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, subscribe, turn on the bell, like this video, and share it with that brother or sister you know needs to hear this message today, because the next videos will be even stronger, and the algorithm needs your signal to continue delivering this truth to other chosen ones who are still sleeping. This was the Father's urgent message for you today. You are not alone. You never were. And from now on, with the sacred book in your hand and faith in your heart, your story enters a completely new phase. May the Father bless you, protect you, and enlighten you. And in 21 days, may you come back here to tell your testimony. I will be waiting until the next video.